Welcome to this explainer. All right, let's dive right in. Over the next 10 weeks, you're stepping into a pretty unique role for your Year 10 Design and Technology course. You aren't just a student right now, you are the lead designer on a massive project, the 3x3 Living Space Challenge. The ultimate goal over this 10-week sprint? You're going to design and build a functional prototype that actually improves the daily life of someone living in an incredibly restrictive micro-habitation space.
9. I really want to emphasize just how claustrophobic a 9-square-meter room actually is. Try to picture it, a space that is literally just 3 meters wide by 3 meters long. And within that tiny footprint, your design has to accommodate an entire human life. We're talking about fitting in 4 distinct, absolutely non-negotiable functional zones, a place for sleeping, living, cooking, and bathing. It is an immense challenge. To tackle this without getting totally overwhelmed, here's our roadmap for the first 4 weeks. We'll start with a 3x3 living challenge, empathize with your persona, and frame the right question. Then we'll get into wild ideas and cardboard, pick your project scope, and finally, reach the toolpath sign-off. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 3x3 living challenge, designing microspaces. You've got the creative freedom to choose your design direction here. But whatever you build, your core mission is to progressively improve the quality of life in this tiny space. It's about looking at those extreme spatial constraints not as a roadblock, but as the exact thing that's going to fuel your innovation. Because, the challenge isn't just cramming 4 functional zones into a tiny box, like a giant game of Tetris. If you just shove a bed, a desk, a stove, and a shower into a room, well, it's going to be unlivable. The real goal is making that 9-square-meter footprint comfortable and actually functional. You have to master efficient space use. You'll need to invent dual-purpose items that transform based on the time of day. But above all else, you have to maintain human comfort. Moving right along to Section 2, empathize with your persona and know your user.
You simply can't solve a problem until you know exactly who you're solving it for. It's time to step into your user's shoes. For this project, you've got to select one of 3 distinct personas to design for. First up, we have the gamer. They need a massive, high-performance rig, but they definitely don't want to be constantly drowning in a sea of tangled cables. Then there's the content creator, who needs a pristine, well-lit filming studio that can somehow magically revert back to a normal bedroom. And finally, the sports obsessive. They own all this bulky, high-maintenance gear. And let's be real, we need to design a space for them that doesn't end up smelling or looking like a damp sports locker.
This really highlights the core conflict you have to solve. On one side, you have these massive persona needs, multi-monitor setups, studio backdrops, maybe a couple of surfboards. But on the other side, the crushing reality of the space. The gear cannot take over the room. The space absolutely must smoothly transition back to a relaxed home mode. Finding the exact point where these 2 sides clash, that right there is finding the tension. And your entire project is about resolving that specific tension.
Which brings us to Section 3, framing the right question to find the tension.
Now, a lot of designers fall into a major trap right here. They immediately jump to their very first idea. Like, oh, I'll just build a folding desk. Actually, scratch that. Don't jump to the solution. Instead, you need to synthesize your research and translate your persona's problem into a how might we question. So for example, instead of just deciding to build a shelf, you ask, how might we store a bulky surfboard so it's easy to grab for daily training, but completely hidden from view when guests are over? Asking how might we unlocks a massive, massive range of creative, out-of-the-box answers, rather than just locking you into the very first decent thought that pops into your head.
So let's look at how this actually plays out in your timeline. Week 1 is all about gathering real-world inspiration and studying your persona. Week 2 is when you're going to build your mood board to capture the aesthetics, the materials, and the joinery styles. All of this initial empathy and question framing fuels a huge academic milestone, your elevator pitch at the end of Week 2. This is the moment where you prove you actually understand the problem before you're allowed to start solving it. All right, Section 4, wild ideas and cardboard. Fail fast, learn quick. After you pitch your problem, it's time to get into the tactile, messy phase of Weeks 3 and 4. You've asked your how might we question, and now it's time to brainstorm. In this phase, quantity absolutely beats quality. You want to generate as many wild concepts as humanly possible because your main goal is to fail fast and learn quickly. Here's your 3-step plan for these weeks. First, sketch your wild concepts without judging them. Just get them out of your head and onto the paper. Second, take those sticky notes and sketches and build rough, quick models out of cardboard and foam core. And third, conduct early spatial testing. You need to make your ideas tangible to see if that transforming desk actually fits between the bed and the kitchen zone. But I need to lay down an absolute non-negotiable rule here. Cardboard is strictly for early spatial testing. Seriously, cardboard and paper are just your sandbox for learning. They're fantastic for week 3 and 4 mockups for sure, but they are absolutely not acceptable materials for your final workshop submission. Your final prototype will need to be built from real materials, think ply and acrylic, to really prove your construction skills. Moving to Section 5, picking your project scope using the PSE framework. Only after you've empathized, brainstormed, and tested those wild ideas with cardboard should you officially lock in your project category. To do this, we use the PSE framework, which stands for Product, System, or Environment. Let's look at the product scope first. This is a single, self-contained object that elegantly solves a specific problem. So, if your idea is a cool piece of transforming furniture, that's a product. For instance, you might design a bifold work center that unfolds into a multi-monitor desk for the gamer. Or maybe a vertical gear vault that hides a bike horizontally right underneath a mattress. It's one focused physical object. Next up, we have the system scope. A system is basically a set of connected parts that work together to manage an issue in the room. Think of a modular desk ecosystem. So instead of one fixed desk, maybe you design a base grid where pen holders, cable anchors, and phone stands snap right in and can be endlessly rearranged. It's a whole set of interchangeable parts that sort of communicate with one another. And finally, the environment scope. This one involves redesigning the physical layout and structure of the space itself. But hey, a quick warning on this one. Do not try to redesign the entire 9 square meter room. You will absolutely run out of time. Instead, just tackle a specific zone. For example, you could do a deep dive into a single vertical slice of a wall from floor to ceiling just to maximize built-in storage. And keep in mind, environments are modeled at a 1 to 10 scale, which gives you a 300 by 300 millimeter footprint to work with.
And that brings us to Section 6, the toolpath sign-off, getting ready for fabrication.
This right here is where the initial design journey reaches its critical threshold. The conceptual, kind of messy planning phase is officially ending, and the precision fabrication phase is about to kick off. You've gone from rapid sketching to cardboard testing. Now you have to translate that winning idea into precise CAD drawings. Why? Well, because you need a rock-solid, fully dimensioned digital plan to get your toolpath sign-off. That sign-off is literally your permission slip to start using the workshop machines, like the laser cutter and 3D printer in week 5. Without it, you're totally stalled. So, the crucial takeaway is that this entire structured process, from empathizing with your persona, to testing with cardboard, to defining your scope, it is all designed to get you to that toolpath sign-off with an idea that is absolutely guaranteed to work. It's an incredible challenge. So, I'll leave you with this thought to get those design gears turning. Take a look around your own room today. If you had to dramatically improve it right now, what is the very first "how might we" question you'd ask to transform just 9 square meters? Think about it. Good luck with the challenge.